Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jonathan Dela Cruz here with Inspi Style, and I am here with the lovely, the talented, the CEO of Fashion Bomb Daily, Miss Claire Sulmers. How are you, beautiful?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I just have to say before we get started is that I am pretty much a little kid jumping right out of his seat right now because I am such a huge fan of yours. I've been following you since college days, since you started Fashion Bomb Daily, and your whole journey. I actually have your book here, The Bomb Life, and I actually read it twice because there was so much insight that you gave to all your readers and all your followers that it really inspired me to actually do this and be in front of the camera and put myself out there. And I just want to thank you for that and like paving the way for, you know, people of color, that there is a chance in the industry and there is a chance to, you know, make a name for yourself in this industry. You don't have to be a certain person or a certain look. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with my first question and ask you, what inspired you to get into the fashion industry?
What inspired me? I've always loved shopping. I've always loved magazines. I used to tear through magazines like 17 and YM and stuff like that. Always loved to write. And so I think it was always just with me since I was young. I just never knew that fashion could be a career. But when I jumped into journalism after graduation, I got my first internship and it happened to be in the fashion department. And that's really where everything started.
And that's where Fashion Bomb Daily started, right?
It started a few years later. Back when I was an intern working in the fashion department, websites weren't really that big. And so I actually started Fashion Bomb a few years later because I was still trying to break into fashion, but just couldn't find a way in. So I just decided to start a blog. Yeah.
And that's how Fashion Bomb Daily was created. Right. So
It's 2006. So we're celebrating 12 years this month.
12 years. That's a huge accomplishment, guys.
Yeah, it's been a really long time. I'm like, wait a second.
That leads me to my next question with Fashion Bomb Daily. What is the mission behind the Fashion Bomb Daily brand?
The mission behind the brand is to shine a spotlight on people who love fashion, who just don't see themselves represented in traditional media. There are so many people from different walks of life, whether they have different economic backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different shapes and sizes. And, I identify with that person because I was always told fashion wasn't for me. And so I just created a place for anybody who wants to be involved in fashion. You don't have to have a ton of money. You don't have to be super connected. But if you have a passion for it and you're talented, then you can find your home at Fashion Bomb.
Awesome. So when you started off Fashion Bomb Daily, what were some of the challenges and struggles that you went through, and how did you overcome them and learn from them, those lessons?
The main issue I had was access. So I couldn't get interviews with people. I couldn't get into fashion shows. So what did I do? I crashed fashion shows. I walked up to Kanye West. I had this handheld camera, and I just walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, what's going on, Kanye?" And it's like no one is gonna tell you no if you're in their face. And I remember seeing Chanel Iman on the streets of Paris and interviewing her like guerrilla style.
Oh my God.
And a lot of times it can rub people the wrong way because they're like, no, you need to ask for permission, and you need to go through the proper protocol. And it's like, if you ask and ask and ask and the answer is always no, then you take. So that's my thing. First you ask, then you take. Because for me, it was like, this is what I really wanted to do. And I knew that Fashion Week and runway shows were kind of like established what was going to happen in fashion for the next few months. And so I was like, I need to be in there. And if you're not going to let me in there, then I'm going to find a way in. So I did. Right. It paid off. Eventually it paid off. Yeah.
Speaking of crashing fashion shows, you crashed a lot of fashion shows.
I was very ballsy. And, I can't do it anymore because people know who I am. They'd be like, Claire, what are you doing? So I have to...
You can't use Lisa Turner's name anymore?
I can't use Lisa Turner's name. I can't use anybody's name. But, I was also crashing at a time when there weren't a lot of bloggers. And also, a lot of the shows I crashed were in Paris. So I just be like, I'm American, and yeah, my name's Lisa Turner, and they'd be like, oh, okay. You know, they would just believe me. There was a time before everybody was going to Paris for Fashion Week, so I could kind of finagle my way in there, but now it might not be as easy. But then there are other ways. I mean, shows are live streamed. You don't really need to crash Fashion Weekend. I think the beautiful thing is now people are creating their own movements on Instagram. They're creating their own movements online. Trends are not necessarily dictated by the runway anymore. We are determining what trends are. Our celebrities are. So it's out of the hands of the runway, and we can really kind of structure the way that fashion moves moving forward.
I can definitely respect that, and you actually paved the way for that. So again, thank you. And then my last question to you, which I always ask all my interviewees, is if you had one positive message to give to a large group of people, what would it be and why?
I would say never, ever, 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 ever give up. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Bad things will happen, things that you don't expect, and you just have to learn how to adapt. Know that nothing is permanent, and set a vision for yourself and go for it.